Welcome to the Real CP Show. I'm your host, CP. And today's topic, this particular former Asian male who was a NASA engineer got his sexualness, allegationist remindment card by various women, right, on that situation. See, sometimes you have some people from sectionality or some other groups or cultures or backgrounds, etc. And sometimes, when ones are allowed to flee to America and who built America before many personnel came over to America has been Black Americanism. And many people have benefited off numbers of Black American achievements, Black Americans' pain and suffering, Black Americans are anti-Black Americans, discrimination, racial hostility, racial terrorism toward Black Americans. And you got people that just show up and get all these various types of benefits and different things like that, right? You see how that goes. And this particular situation with this particular Asian male who got his remindment card, or sexual allegations remindment card. He worked at NASA as an engineer. So sometimes people get ahead of themselves and they think, well, I ain't worried about what the Negroes are going through. We don't keep doing what we sit there and doing. And see, this genericality of Asianness, I don't like the genericalities of usage to that, because too many ones can slide under generic Asian card. And there are ones who have played that card, right? Because there is a hierarchy in America within the Asians caste system hierarchy. Oh, you best believe it is, right? There are numbers who want to be white Asians, right? There are ones that are a little bit more darker, who get treated a little bit more different, but there are some ones who have a little bit of darker skin. No one applies to. They have the nerve to try to look crazy toward Black Americans. You know the nerve of that, right? So in this situation, let me go ahead and share my screen. And again, this particular Asian guy got his remindment card on that situation. I'm going to play this first initial video in general before I get to the second one, and then I'll just pretty much close the show out on that. Oh, almost. Which one? Here we go. I'm utilizing this under fair usage doctrine.
Tonight, stunning allegations of sexual assault against a NASA engineer. Eric Sim charged with attacking 6 different women he met on dating apps. This image, shared exclusively with NBC's Houston affiliate KPRC2, capturing the moments just after police arrested Sim at the Johnson Space Center in Houston.
NASA is a trusted brand, and because he was a professional, it helped build their confidence that he was who he said he was, and that they were safe, and they weren't.
The alleged assaults happening at his townhouse near downtown Houston. New court documents filed by the district attorney say Sim connected with the women on apps like Hinge, OkCupid, and East Meets East.
He frequently uses these dating apps to communicate with multiple individuals at the same time, and is portraying himself as somebody who wants a committed relationship.
Prosecutors say between 2019 and 2022, Sim invited the women back to his home and forced himself on top of them. One of the women telling police she may have been intoxicated at the time of the assault. The district attorney now concerned there could be more victims.
Because Sim has an extensive travel history, both nationally and internationally, we fear that there could be other victims who may not know that he's charged yet.
Sim has pleaded not guilty, his attorney calling the allegations false and saying the relations were consensual, but didn't turn out the way the complainants hoped they would, adding, "We look forward to presenting the whole truth to a jury."
NASA Johnson style.
Sim gaining fame online for starring in NASA's viral parody of Psy's 2012 hit music video Gangnam Style, which has more than 8.6 million views. NASA says they cooperated with authorities during the arrest in late February, but declined to comment on the ongoing investigation. The agency telling NBC's Houston affiliate in a statement they would take appropriate personnel action based on investigations, both external and internal. Sim now out of jail on a $700,000 bond, but remaining under 24-hour house arrest with total monitoring of all of his electronic communications. The district attorney says this case should serve as a warning about meeting strangers online.
Credibility is more than skin deep. There's just more to each of us than not just who we say we are, but where we work or what profession we're in. None of these women suspected that they were dating a serial rapist.
Woo! You hear her make that particular accusatoriness and call him that word, right? Now, oh my goodness, oh, you best believe he was like, oh my goodness, they called him that word. Oh my goodness, right? See, sometimes they get ahead of their little britches. And they got reminded that in this system of supremacy, which is the most awesome mental manipulation force that's ever existed, they tell them what to do, not the other way around. So the system allowed, however, that person's parents to come over, right? You see how that goes. And sometimes, again, or many times, they have gotten free benefits and resources over Black Americans. Oh, you have to believe it's on purpose to do that. Again, we're not talking about some of the good ones, right? We're not talking about this. So we're not going to play that game. So go to Haiti for the ones who try to side swipe with that little situation. Because there's no pan-Asian love in America. There's certainly no pan-Asian true love in various other places on the globe. Please. Asia is a continent, people, made up of many countries. Many islands, how many provinces and cities and towns, and you get the point. But see, again, in this supremacy, again, which is the most awesome mental manipulation force that's ever existed, they like to play the little silly little trickery tactics upon people, including meetings within the Black Americanism, right, with few exceptions who don't do the game, right? Who do this silly stuff like Black and Brown coalition. How many times Black Americans keep getting fooled with the Black and Brown nonsense of game? What applies to Black and Asian game? What is an Asian? There are darker skin, medium skin, darker skin, medium shade skin, light skin, and Asians. What are you talking about? See the game on that, right? But I'm gonna get to something in just a little bit. Because when it comes down to, hey, what are you going to do to help Black Americans? They don't need you, but what are you going to do that you have been allowed to come over off the blood, sweat, and tears and some extra part of that from what Black Americans continue to be going through then and now, right? Well, it's not all Asians, no crap food, but you see how that goes. But see, as long as it's benefiting certain Asianness, Anglo-Asianness, right? And some ones who they wish they was white Anglo-ness, but their skin is different shades, but the one I'm referring to who know they are, who have the nerve to flee, but at the same time look crazy toward Black Americans. Because there's a lot of jealousy on that part. But those are different topics. So he got his remindment card. So now I'm going to sit there and show you another video that we're talking about a little bit later on. This is last year, I think, the other initial video. So this happened, I think, a few weeks ago on this one, on this situation. Again, I'm utilizing this under fair usage doctrine.
To attend. The city of Houston may have to defend itself from a new lawsuit filed by a former NASA engineer who was charged with sexually assaulting multiple women.
Yeah, it was big news last year when all charges against Eric Sim were dropped, and now he claims he was falsely accused and that police knew about it but moved forward with the case anyway.
ABC 13's Luke Jones joins us live. And Luke, he's suing some of his accusers as well.
Yeah, he's saying those women engaged in a year-long abuse of the criminal justice system, which he says severely damages the credibility of, quote, true victims. But victim advocates say the lawsuit itself could have a chilling effect and prevent victims from speaking out.
Eric Sim, when he was riding high,
seen here in a music video posted to social media.
NASA Johnson style.
A successful career as a NASA engineer and no shortage of love interests. That life came crashing down in 2024 when he was charged with 7 counts of sexual assault and subsequently fired from his job. Those charges were dismissed a year later.
Once we got to the point where we determined we couldn't prove the cases, we did what's right and dismissed them.
Today, Sim's fighting back, suing the city of Houston, 2 Houston police detectives, and 4 of his accusers in federal court.
Extraordinary move or a necessary move?
Kimberly Lau is Sim's New York-based attorney who filed the suit, alleging all of Sim's sexual encounters were consensual, and that his accusers concocted the claims they were assaulted when they found out they weren't the only women in Sim's life. According to court documents, investigators found video of sexual encounters on Sim's electronic devices, as well as a spreadsheet with 437 names of women he allegedly had sex with.
Now, you hear what they said, allegedly 400 and something situationalness of engagement with that number of women that, you know what? Let's just go back for a second.
The spreadsheet with 437 names of women he allegedly had sex with. One woman told police.
Wow. A spreadsheet? See, sometimes people get a little too smart for themselves on that situation.
She thought she'd been drugged prior to an assault and that she contracted an STD. In his lawsuit, Sim claims Houston police detectives prepared false probable cause affidavits.
They were aware of inconsistencies in the stories that they were being told.
And withheld evidence from the DA's office exonerating Sim, including a video of one accuser admitting her relationship with Sim was consensual.
The police authorities had possession of that evidence for a year. What happened here was a miscarriage of justice.
While the charges were dropped, Amy Smith with the Harris County Domestic Violence Coordinating Council says that doesn't mean the accusers weren't being truthful.
You kind of have to go back to, like, what is consent? What does consent mean? And, you know, consent is different for each individual.
She worries Sim's lawsuit could make sexual assault survivors think twice about coming forward.
To go through the process as far as they've gone through the process and then have someone sue you for it, it's scary.
And you see already what this particular woman tried to do. A little slippery slope of little anecdotalness, right? What about the males who get constantly false allegatored on a situation? What about them, right? What about that part? You know what she'll do? She don't see nothing on that part, right? Because there is a true feminist supremacy indoctrination agenda going on, not just in sectionality America, in various sections of going across this globe more and more. And unfortunately, there are going to have to be more numbers of males that's going to feel the pain of feminism supremacy. Because there are some numbers of males from some different cultures and backgrounds that got a super hard head in their mentalities. And they think that won't affect them. But feminist supremacy got something for them. They say, yeah, y'all go ahead and keep going to sleep and thinking, oh, my, you going to control women the way you want to. Now, certain other countries are probably more safer from the spread of vile feminine supremacists. Oh, but that's dwindling. Now, see, the thing about it is, what sometimes people forget, some of these guys forget is, now, his situation, now, if he knows, and the numbers of women that sexual allegationized him, they know already if he was leading on as if they were going to be some of his main type women. He like, on that, however it goes. Or did he make it known, hey, I'm not looking for any kind of serious relationship. Now, just going off that allegedly several hundred names on that spreadsheet of those women, it could be possible a combination of that. It's kind of logical analysis that for this allegationness of 400 type women on a spreadsheet, that every single one was told that they are his main one. Do you understand that, right? Or at the same time, all an estimated 400 at that particular spreadsheet. If they were told, no, he just want a fun time, kind of hard to sit there and understand that all 400 estimating plus of those women were told, hey, you know what? He just want to have a good time with all 400. Because somewhere in there, regardless, somebody will caught some feelings. But regardless, if it's not anything seriousness that they didn't want, that person has to make sure. What was that from the great Reza Ramon? Now, when it's known that, now that don't guarantee that numbers of these women would play tricky Rooney. Oh, no. Quite a number will do that. Because certain males will say, look, hey, they not look for them serious. And their numbers women, they'd be like, okay, we understand. But in the back of their mind, it's like, I'm going to do some tricky Rooney with them. Now, some of them like, yeah, okay, that's fine, whatever. But then some of them will look at and say, okay, if it's a social, economic, financial benefit, they'll sit there and play along. And then play the switcheroonie with the male. And then certain numbers of males will just allow themselves to be tricked right there instead of standing ground and say, no, I told you. I didn't want anything serious with you on that. Well, no. You don't change the game in midway. I don't think so. Because if it was vice versa and a man did that, that woman would say, you can't control a woman. See how the game is played. See, they know it's not enough men that know how to play the game on that. And let the rules be the rules to say you don't change the rules in midway. Now, the last thing I want to sit there and show you on this part was from this particular. Give me a second, Hero. Ooh, hold on, where that comes from right there. Give me a second, Hero. I'm gonna change up something. You know what? I don't know what I did with the other one. You know what? Something changed on it. You know what? I'm going to do something about do something on the scene here. Give me a second here. Oh, you know what? Give me one moment here. I might play this, might not. It's give me 1 second here. Where did I put that at? I don't know where I put that at. Give me one moment here. Let me look at something for a second. No, it's not it right there. You know what? That's okay. It wasn't that super serious to play it on that. I would just say there was a podcast that was talking about how there were certain numbers of Asians that either been used or allowed to be used on themselves, knowing that they wanted this anti-Black Americanism rhetoric to even go to certain colleges. What I mean by that? Not me, I'm relaying over the information, even though I have done some podcasts on this, where there was a couple of years ago when the Supreme Court Justice basically crossed out what they would call parentheses in general affirmative action quotas, that people were saying that you really couldn't utilize racial quotas on, I guess, in Harvard sectionality of certain colleges or Harvard colleges, even though Black Americans have never been the benefit in this recent modern times of anything dealing with affirmative action quotas. That stuff has been utilized and benefit off all these various other people sliding under the communities of color, marginalized communities and stuff like that. All these little sidetrack, little switchery categories, not Black Americans. Please, man, go to Hades with that little tactic. And so the Harvard personnel that was utilizing certain numbers of Asians as a fall culture part of it, within that, with a certain personnel, that if you say certain things, that you be called anti-Semitic, even though you like, what does a Semitic person look like? But at the same time, when it's anti-American Blackism, people are quiet on that. I don't go, that's a whole different game. And so the point of that was that, so when the affirmative action was supposed to wink being struck down, where it started hurting a lot of certain Asians who, the ones applied to, who thought that they were going to even benefit more and have even more numbers going to certain Ivy League schools and various other colleges. Oh, you best believe there is a certain Asian demographicalness of onslaught against Black Americans, politically, economically, financially. You understand that. And even though there's quite a number of in general Asians that don't even like other Asians. But again, those are different little topics a lot of people don't talk about. So the thing about it is, when the ones on the supply sheet, some of these white Asians thought it was going to affect just Black Americans, which is like Black Americans, first of all, don't even have a gigantic amount of demographics in various types of Ivy League schools. There is more genericality of Asians in these various Ivy League schools and some of these other well-off schools on that, right? But that's not good enough. You got certain numbers of Asians, and one applies to, right, that are wanting to reduce down even more of Black Americanism because there is an agenda to that. Now, again, to some of the good numbers of Asians, credit give to them, even though I don't like utilizing generic Asian because that's very generically. And again, what about the various other shades of Asians that are not treated good by other Asians? Oh, they don't talk about that, but I don't want to get all on that direction. So this understanding in closing is that he got his sexual allegations remind card because he's supposed to be in a former NASA engineer, right? Remember, model minority, but at the same time, how he was doing what he was doing with however different other women. And sometimes personnel's britches get a little too big and they shown him. Now, again, on the opposite part in closing, it's good that he did do some constructive legality, hopefully consequentiality to numbers of the women who perhaps did falsify the sexual allegationist claim toward him, right? Now, how many of those are nothing going to consequentiality, legalness outcome toward them? Most likely, collectively, nothing. Now, hopefully, at least a few will be at least consequentiality legalized for those false allegations for the ones that perhaps might apply to. I thank you for tuning in to the Real CP Show.